Man, get up here in the ZoLoft and get your head right.
All right. Yeah, let's make sure we deactivate them mute buttons before I get to jaw jacking. What's up, y'all? Blessed Monday to you. I hope your week is off to a groovy start and gets better as it goes along, baby. Age like a fine wine and not like goat milk. Anyway, that's an extra age wang to it. As you want to add some extra wang to it, not just age like milk, but like some goat milk. All right, so what are we gonna try to get to today, folks? What are we gonna talk about? What y'all want to talk about, man? Let's talk about our feelings. Let's talk about timeshares. I don't know.
Oh no.
Anyway,
MLMs? Multi-level marketing?
Oh yeah, let's do some MLM. Hey, wait, where you going? Come back. All right. We're gonna try to talk about what do we got going on? We got some Trump just launched a CBDC. Talk about that. That just kind of just happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
No, we hate it.
Well, we don't know yet. We don't know if the Senate passed the big beautiful bill.
Okay, the big beautiful.
But they'll like this,
it's going to be big and beautiful. Like I don't know, who's like it's going to be big and beautiful like Lizzo.
Oh no.
All right, how about that? Yeah. That's what we think. It's going to be big and beautiful like that statue that they just put out there. Where is that statue?
New York?
Was it New York?
I want to say New York.
And that's all part of, man, I'm telling you, man, that's all part of Democrats' plan. This is the stuff that they do. They put the statue out there, and they know that this statue is, there's really nothing appealing about this statue, and this is what it is that you think of black folks. This is what Democrats think of it, but it's okay because Republicans are going to jump in the way to make it look like this is how they see black folks, right? This is all engineered that way. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. Democrats, be having like Republicans just walking in circles for them. So the big and beautiful bill, we'll talk a little bit about that. And what else we got? We got Michelle Obama on the women's reproductive system. Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead and go in. It's like, because I know for a lot of people, the jury's out about, his whatever reproductive system. Reproductive. Sorry. That just.
Well, she didn't use hers to give life, so.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
If she has one, I don't know.
Yeah.
Any speculation.
Any evidence? Any proof? Any proof of that? Any pictures? I don't know. You don't have to take any pictures of if you were pregnant or not. I get it, but kind of strange. And then we got Dave Mustaine of Megadeth talking about Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington's execution, as he would put it, or I guess they were executed. So what do we want to start with first? Let's go ahead and start with. And you know what? Let's start off with some Megadeth, man. And that's just kind of, well, considering the topic, I was gonna say it's that's kind of fun to talk about. Talk about some Megadeth because it was one of my favorite bands. I think still one of my favorite bands. I haven't really listened to their music since. Maybe favorite band isn't the right way to put it, but probably one of the more influential, or in terms of like directing, like which direction I really wanted to go in terms of like making music. I loved speed metal when I was a kid. I needed music that could keep up with me because I was like really hyper.
Yes.
And it was like I really enjoyed, like I really dug speed metal, but there was just because it did have the rhythm, it had the groove, even though it was just like this incessant, but there was a rhythm to it, that I really liked, and it wasn't just like your typical, rock, minor chords and playing off some rock, some minor chords and these pentatonic progressions that would come out of it. This was like something else. There was the rhythm to it and just the way that these progressions would work. Like really, no pun intended, struck a chord with me. And Megadeth was part of the pioneering bands that was doing that. You know, it's a pretty distinctive sound, even though, you know, Mustaine was a part of Metallica, you know, and you know, you could see the I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Rehashing of them, like trying to come up with. It's like, okay, you're gonna take this riff, and we're gonna make this song, and then you'll take that same riff, and we're gonna make this song or whatever. So you can hear, not even. You can hear the formula, like who was formulaic to this writing process, you know, as far as that went. But Megadeth did indeed, you know, does indeed have their own voice, you know, in terms of pioneering speed metal, you know, back in the day. I like how, you know, Dave Mustaine brought in, you know, Chris Poland and Gar Samuelson. And it did at the time. It didn't make sense. Well, it didn't. Not that it didn't. It was strange or anything like that. But I didn't get, you know, what Dave Mustaine's approach was to it, you know, when I was a kid. But looking back now, it's like, oh wow, because, you know, back then I didn't know that Chris Poland and Gar Samuelson, you know, were playing in a full-on, you know, jazz, progressive jazz band. You know, rock, jazz, you know, fusion that they were doing. And they were pretty intense, the New Yorkers. I found that out, like, you know, a few years ago, but I didn't know it back at the time. And that's the kind of stuff that Dave Mustaine, like, wanted to bring into, you know, the fold, you know, because Gar was like, you know, he was coming out, you know, he was funky, man. He was like, he was the kind of, you know, this was, you know, drummers like, you could tell like Gar Samuelson was like picking up on drummers like, you know, I don't know if he would say this, but I'm pretty sure that, you know, drummers like Billy Cobham, you know, was in his, you know, his circle of influence, and, you know, Tony Williams, you know, I'm pretty sure that, you know, is it from that to maybe even Ginger Baker. Heck, Gar Samuelson even kind of looked like Ginger Baker. But, you know, it's like, but you can hear these things, you know, you wouldn't think, you know, that, hey, this guy's a speed metal drummer. He was like some serious, you know, jazz fusion kind of stuff. The same thing with Chris Poland. You know, it's like, wow, it's like, this is the guy you picked up to do some speed metal? Chris Poland was, you know, he was off on some, you know, you could hear his influence, probably influences like, he was probably influenced by cats like Joe Pass and Wes Montgomery. Probably some George Benson. You know, it's probably like you know, Chris Poland was following, you know, stuff like that. Maybe even some you know, some Zappa. You know, some stuff like that. Like I said, I haven't really heard them say this explicitly, but like looking at their playing, you know, it wouldn't surprise me. And I'm not, you know, a connoisseur of guitaring and whatnot, but, you know, from what I would pick up, I would gather that. So anyway, I just thought that was from the beginnings from Megadeth. I think that's pretty interesting that, you know, that was what he brought into the formula. At any rate, you know, when I started, you know, shaping, you know, music, that was, you know, kind of at the fundamental of what I wanted to do with rock music, and Megadeth was definitely, you know, a big part of that. And so all that to say, y'all, I used, I guess, this opportunity to kind of talk about some Megadeth stuff, and talk about some music. Even though Dave Mustaine has, hey, he kind of let the cat out of the bag, you know, you know, or just. It was already out of the bag, but Dave Mustaine kind of put his stamp on it, you know, the mega stamp, you know, Megadeth stamp, and says, look, man, these guys were on to something, and they were going to produce, you know, this, I think a movie showcasing, you know, or putting a spotlight, no pun intended, on Hollywood, and, you know, they're perverts, man. It's really what it comes down to. Perverts, pedos. It's not a new thing. I mean, this stuff really started to, I think around maybe in the 70s. You know, it's like y'all not really trying to hide this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, we think about movies like what, Blue Lagoon. You know, Blue Lagoon. There was another movie. It was like a kind of, The Exorcist. Hello. The Extras, man, they turned Linda Blair out. Linda Blair, she ended up being even too, the way they twisted her up, man, I think she even became too twisted for Rick James.
Yikes.
Right? It's like, that's how twisted, like, even Rick James was like, yeah, I don't know.
Wasn't Jodie Foster underage too?
Yeah, I think so. Jodie Foster. Yeah, Jodie. So it was like, yeah, this is what we doing. What's her name? Phoebe Cates. You know, Phoebe Cates.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not just gonna put that song about the cars in y'all's head. Don't, 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 don't. Like safe, it's moving in stereo. I've been wanting to cover that song, but I don't want to be a stumbling block to people because I know if I do that song, it's going to be all the comments are going to be, yeah, dude, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Phoebe Cates, and then all of a sudden, well, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too much of myself, like people are going to actually go and watch my video. Anyway.
Hey, Jay Thompson says speed metal is pentatonic.
Yeah, I guess if you listen fast enough, you'll catch it.
You listen fast enough.
You'll catch some of it. So, you know, since the late '60s, I mean, hey, what was that movie? Hair. Yeah, that's going back a little bit.
I wasn't allowed to watch that.
Well, I didn't. I think I didn't catch Hair. I didn't even know about the movie Hair until maybe like the late 80s. And I think I might have caught it on, maybe it was PBS? I don't know. I think they aired it on PBS or something like that, yeah. PBS, you know, where they have Sesame Street, which is Sodomy Street now.
Yes, apparently so.
Yes.
Celebrating gay pride hard.
Right, Ernie and Bert, come on out. Go have you a little three-way with Elmo.
Oh.
All right. Tickle me, Bert.
Stop it.
So anyway, would you like a peanut butter? Peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Come on, Grover. All right, you get in here. So anyway, what? I know all the characters. Come on, you know you want me to do Cookie Monster. That wasn't a very good
Cookie Monster's the best.
No.
Don't pervertize him.
No, Oscar the Grouch is the
Well,
best.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame that Sesame Street just went sideways on these people because, you know, Oscar the Grouch and Cookie Monster, man, that was special childhood stuff.
Even as a child, I could relate to Oscar.
Right? Get away from my can. Why? So, it's Sodomy Street. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so no, we were talking about
Jay's comment. Were you still there? Is speed metal pentatonic?
Yeah, that's where I was. I was like, I was still milking the whole speed metal thing. I wasn't done talking about. So I want to talk about speed metal some more. But no. So as it is, Hollywood perverts, and you can see this stuff going back. You know, at the '70s. You know, what was it? Yeah, I was talking about Hair.
That's,
you know,
right.
When
we
they
made
came
it to
out,
Hair.
Yeah, when they came out with that movie. And what is that song? They got a song. I think the song is called Sodomy. You know, so it's, you know, Hair is all about, you know, hey, hippies and, you know, just do what you feel and all that sort of stuff. And you know, how did the lyrics go? Sodomy, fellatio. Actually, some of the stuff that I can't sing outside, but there's the another sexual thing. It's like, well, so you already said fellatio. You might as well just go ahead and finish the whole oral sex thing that they're talking about. And then another lyric that they throw in there with great reverence is pederasty. Father, why do these words sound so nasty?
Is this a song?
It's
really?
a song, right? So and they're just, you know, going off on these, you know, hey, if it makes you feel good, do it. If you, whether it's from sodomy to pederasty, it's all good, right? It's all good. And that was the movies that they had even like, you know, in the late 60s, early 70s, you know, that's a popular play now, man.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it was a play.
It has been,
And they made a movie,
yeah.
they made a movie out of it, right? And so that stuff's been, you know, now I guess we're talking about it. Maybe like within the past, you know, few years, you know, we're talking about it. You know, how Hollywood is, you know, yeah, they've been
We're
doing
only
this.
talking about it because there's been whistleblowers who have said that they're not going to commit suicide, who have been killed.
Yeah.
they say they committed suicide, and there's been a bunch of whistleblowers.
Yeah. So it's like, they have to write a note. I didn't commit suicide. I didn't suicide myself. And
Like Isaac Cappy. In the comment section of this Megadeth video, people were saying that Isaac Cappy, he literally said, I do not want to kill myself.
Yeah.
And people were saying he suicided off a bridge in Arizona. He supposedly jumped off a bridge in Arizona because he was working on pedophilia. He's the one who exposed Tom Hanks publicly, and he said he's coming after all of you pedophiles, quote unquote, in Hollywood. And then he wound up dead.
Yeah. Wow. And that's Democrats for y'all. They get away with murder.
Yep.
Literally.
Yeah.
Do it all the time. So between that and you have Courtney Love, who was involved with this, she knew Epstein and claims that she didn't. It makes you wonder, about Kurt Cobain. You listen to his lyrics, and I guess, he probably most likely did have some, manic depression, and bipolar and mania and all that sort of stuff. But
all of them have a little bit of depression.
yeah, they all is. That's I don't know. That kind of seems to come with the territory with being a musician,
Of being extremely creative.
Yeah, right. And so that's why you need the Lord.
Yes.
Don't forget where the talent comes from. Remember Him, and things work out for your soul better. But so Kurt Cobain, did he really just out of depression? Was that what did it? Most likely. When that happened to him, it's not like I really researched it or anything like that. I like Nirvana, but I wasn't, like a big Nirvana enthusiast.
Yeah.
It was, still something that I didn't really, not that I didn't gravitate toward, not that I didn't enjoy the music or anything like that. Just the whole persona surrounding it. It's like, and then Chris Cornell, he's having good success with Soundgarden. He's having, good success with Audio Slave. Doesn't really make sense that, he would kill himself. You can hear in the lyrics and things like that, things that he may be dealing with and whatnot, emotionally and stuff. But like I said, when you have these things that are going for you, once again, it's like those people that they talk about. It's like, they just went grocery shopping and they prepared some stuff. It doesn't make sense that they would kill themselves. It's like, why are you gonna go shopping and get some stuff to prepare for your week and all that sort of stuff, and then commit suicide?
Yeah.
Stuff like that doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Chester Bennington. And I'm definitely not a really big Linkin Park fan because they make money off of depression. They're like a sonic pharmaceutical company. That's what they are. Their music is like a farm party for manic depressives, and it's like it's sad that they continued that after Chester Bennington's death, and it's like you listen if it wasn't for considering that this may have been, an assassination or an execution, it's not far-fetched to think that he might have committed suicide. You listen to their lyrics; it's a bunch of depressing stuff, and it's really sad that after that, Linkin Park just carries on, singing about the same depressing stuff. And it's like, didn't you guys learn anything? Their breakout song after Chester Bennington's death is like the Emptiness Machine. You listen to that and it's like, dude, this is some like seriously depressing crap, and this is what you guys make money off of. You're like parasites feeding off of people's, need to be depressed to feel special. That's what a lot of it is. People get attention for being depressed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of it, ties into attention seeking. So, I don't dig that about Linkin Park. If you want to address people's, depression and, their emotional issues, have the elixir ready, man. Tell them about the Lord. Like, don't just sit there and just, you're not alone.
Yeah.
We're here depressed with you. Oh, well, thanks. You know, I'll just, hey, misery loves company and it makes money. All right, you want to make some money, man? Go ahead and, you know, and appeal to people's depression and just make them feel like they're special and you're there with them, giving them attention, and you can relate and all that other crap. You know, let's get out of this hole, right? Let me talk to you about the Lord. You know, that's it. But see, that's the resolve. That's the resolve that you need. That's the elixir that you need. They don't bring that, you know. What you need to do is you need to go to Spotify and pay that 99 cents so we can get our little cut of royalties or whichever. That's what you need to do. So, you know, but they were going to expose, you know, if they were going to expose pedophilia, then kudos to them. That's good to hear. But this kind of stuff, man, this has been going on for, you know, people, you know, and Diddy, Epstein, you know, all those cats need to go down. But it's like funny that, you know, you got people who are like Diddy who are being, you know, vilified, which he should be. But it's like nobody says anything about, you know, Steven Tyler. Steven Tyler has a career, and he took a 14-year-old girl with him and got her mom's permission and said, I want to take your 14-year-old daughter with us on tour. And that was his sex toy. You know? My goodness. You know, that's Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. But, you know, I guess since he's not, you know. So anyway.
I know.
Yeah. Matt Walsh knows. Anyway, so.
Have you heard the many rumors of Michael Jackson and Prince being suicided, basically, overdosed, being killed because they, especially Prince, they were going to talk about the pedophilia in the music industry?
Well, I can see that.
I've heard other sides to Prince now that he really wasn't using like prescription drugs like the news carried the stories out there. So I've heard different accounts now.
Well, you know, I reckon that'd be kind of an awkward conversation considering Michael Jackson. You know? Now I'm not trying to throw Michael Jackson under the bus. I'm just saying there's gonna be so many different, not so many. It'd be polarized. Really, those that do is like people who would be like, man, Michael, they made him out to be like that, and others are gonna be like, no, man, he was a freak and all that sort of stuff, and you know, he was definitely, you know, diddling some kids, and you got people who are gonna want to believe that, and you're not gonna really get to the to the objectivity of it.
No, you're not.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't even know if it's worth the time, you know, to consider Michael Jackson's, you know, presence in the conversation. Prince. And both of them, as far as I know, were Jehovah's Witness. And Prince.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so Prince.
I think, was Seventh Day, wasn't he?
Wait a minute. Who?
Prince? Wasn't he Seventh Day? I mean, they're basically the kind of the same thing.
I think they came out of the same.
They did.
Yeah, their roots.
Same
for
cult?
for lack of a better word, are the same. But with Prince, you know, the angle that they've come with is, you know, because he wouldn't accept, you know, blood transfusions and you know, things like that, you know, denying medical treatments because of his religion or whichever is what led to, you know, him not getting proper treatment, you know, and ending up having an overdose, not being able to better manage, have better pain management, his religion being in the way of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe he was. I mean, when I think about, and Prince is another, that's one of those things where, or one of those, I shouldn't say thing, Prince was another big part of, you know, inspiring me to do music. I was very, you know, and it's not something I'm happy about, you know. I mean, amazed at Prince's, his approach to music, his delivery, his execution of what he can do musically is amazing. It's not even about being like a very dexterous or very technical musician or anything like that. There's just certain people who are able to deliver something. It doesn't have to be extremely complicated or anything like. You got a lot of musicians out there who can do some very complicated stuff, but it doesn't mean that they can really write a good song. And Prince was able to write, music that resonated with people, and was able to just his approach, the way he could just deliver his music. That's something unique to him. A lot of musicians like that. And once again, it's not all about being the most dexterous or fast or whichever in-depth guitarist, virtuoso. Sometimes it's just in a way that a person can just literally strike a chord. It's just something unique to them in a way that they're able to do it, or what do you want to call it, mojo, if you want to call it the anointing, and the Lord gives them gifts. He does put that, that stardust, if you will, on some people to be able to do that. But all that to say, Prince is kind of a pervert. So in terms of Prince, weighing in morally on these things, I really wouldn't have taken him seriously. Prince his whole approach was, leading with this sexuality, very overtly. And, even members of his band, like Des Dickerson, Des Dickerson was just like, yeah, dude, I'm out. You're too freaking sex happy, man. It's like this, it vexes my soul. I'm out. There was another before Wendy and Lisa came in. I think this is after the Controversy album. I can't remember what her name is. Same thing. She's like, nah, man, I'm out. Because Prince was just, everything was just like sex, sex, sex.
Wow.
You listen to the 1999 album, and it's just like, dang, dude. All right. So it's just stuff like that. And so for Prince to have weighed in on it, unless Prince would be like, look, man, I repent, Lord, for the content that I've put out before. I changed my ways. I want to follow you, and in doing so, I want to expose. Well, if Prince would have came out with that, then yeah, I would have probably taken it more seriously if that was the case. But no, Prince was, I don't want to say Prince was a pervert because because he promoted gay sex, not so much between men and men, but definitely with women. Like Wendy and Lisa were supposed to be they were the lesbians in the group,
right.
So he promoted that, for some reason. I guess that's okay.
That's okay, yes.
And that stuff came back to bite folks. It's like when you got people out there talking about, where there was Howard Stern helped to usher in a lot of this stuff. Howard Stern, and then, you got later on, Dave Chappelle out there, and it came back to bite him. It's now it made him, in a way, it made him more popular, but they turned on him. He talked about how he likes lesbians and all that sort of stuff, and now, the gay community went totally sideways, and they hate him now, and the transgenders, they hate him, and whatever. And, I don't know what issue Dave Chappelle has with them. He's a Muslim, but at the same time, he's not. So yeah, he's like Dave Chappelle. He's a Muslim, but he doesn't really want to go through with being an actual, like following Al Quran according to what it says. I don't know. He likes to call himself a Muslim. I don't really know what it means to him. And so, at any rate. What else we got here?
Hold on.
Okay.
Tess has a good comment. She said MJ owned half of Sony because he bought the Beatles' rights. Prince was about to own all the rights to his own music. He was done with his contract and wanted to produce and own his own music. Then they died.
Yeah, and that's
suspicious.
Like Michael Jackson, I guess he just rolls up on Paul McCartney, just gives him a phone call. After they did.
Amazing.
What song was that they did? Say, Say, Say.
Yeah.
I think it was they had that Say. That's that song. It didn't seem like they did two songs. I
was thinking that too.
Say, 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 and I think was that Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney, The Girl Is Mine? Yeah, The Girl Is Mine.
Yes.
The Girl Is Mine,
Yeah.
mine. Yeah, so that was it. Man, I haven't heard that. I haven't even thought of that song in I don't know how long. So I guess after that, Michael Jackson was like, hey, what's up, Paul? Hey, what's up? I'm buying your masters or whichever. I'm buying your music. And I don't know. I don't know if that made Paul mad enough to like kill him, but I mean, but
No, but people in the music industry who care about their money and power.
You know, so Mike, you know, Mikey, are you okay? And then you know, and then Prince.
Ebony and Ivory.
Ebony, no, that was.
Huh?
No. Ebony and Ivory was Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney. Yeah, that's Stevie. That's Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder.
It's been so long since it's probably been 30 years.
Yeah.
Maybe more since I heard. I was thinking
Right?
this.
Y'all remember that there was a Saturday Night Live skit between Joe Piscopo and Eddie Murphy, and they did a spoof on Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney's Ebony and Ivory. Joe Piscopo's like playing Frank Sinatra. He's like, "Come on, let's swing it. Let's do a swing of it, baby. Ebony and Ivory."
Oh my goodness.
What is it? How did that go? Ebony and Ivory live together in perfect harmony, side by side on my piano, Negro. Why don't we? So yeah. Fun times. You see, Negro is not a bad word. It just means black. So it's all good. Literally, it's not a word that you use to refer to something black or someone black. It just actually means black.
Yeah.
Unlike the other N word that people like Matt Walsh like to say.
That's right. Yeah.
Or like to give people money for.
Did you say Dave Chappelle is a Muslim?
As far as I know.
Wow.
Yeah. Help me if I could be wrong, but yeah, as far as I know.
I wanted to read you this from Roland. He says, Miss Rachel tells Zoe, I gave a shout out about Zoe on Jordan Peterson's YouTube channel.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope he catches wind of it. You know, I'm trying to be constructive here about that sort of stuff, not trying to tear him down.
Right. It would be great if he was out there as an apologist for the truth.
Yeah. But he's more of an apologist for Jordan Peterson. Anyway,
Yeah.
So let's see. And anyway, hopefully, this stuff, comes out and, we've been talking about this Epstein thing for at least, I haven't. But in terms of like, the between Washington and between Hollywood, pederasty,
Yes.
yeah, we've been talking about it. But they don't want you to know that. I maybe I should count myself, favored, from the Lord, because people are getting killed for this stuff. And, and us, well, what got killed was our career. But at any rate, between Epstein and Diddy, it's like, okay, what's the holdup? Didn't they want the freedom of information? Well, use it.
Yeah.
Use it. Let's get this over with, man.
Put the list out there.
Yeah. Come on, dang it.
So the gist of the article was Dave Mustaine literally said in an interview that Chris Cornell and Bennington were making a documentary about the pedophiles in the music industry, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they must have had like I don't know, maybe some video, that they could throw in there, or maybe have some dialogue between some people and all that sort of stuff. They must have really had the goods. And then now the question is, where is that stuff?
Yeah.
What did y'all have?
And where is it?
And then Chester Bennington. The thing that we were listening to, who was given the report about Dave Mustaine, saying this stuff, he was at the end of this video. He starts talking about his son and how he understands how Hollywood wants to be able to throw money at people and stuff like that, and basically just want to get their hands on your kid, which is true. And he starts talking about his son and it's like, well, you sound like the same kind of person, really. He's talking about these virtues that he has and letting his son make his own decisions, and what do you want to do? And it's like, well, you don't really sound any different than these other parents that you're trying to criticize.
Absolutely, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's true.
So you're going to ask your son, okay, he's 13 years old. Well, what do you want to do? Well, what if your son did say that he wanted to go and do X, Y, or Z? You're going to support him on that?
Right.
You know? But you think that you're different because you're going to say he can make his own decisions. You don't sound any different than flipping Phoebe Cates' father.
Yeah.
You know, she's a minor, she's a kid, and she's getting approached by some film producer to do a movie, which she did. And the film producer's like, yeah, you're going to be nude in this movie. She's a minor. And she goes to her dad, hey, Dad, I've been approached to do this movie, and they want me to do a nude scene. He's like, well, you should do it. Is that what you want to do? You do it. Okay. So, I mean, you got kids out there, little boys saying, well, you know what? I want to be a woman. I want to be a girl.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you want to do. You go ahead and you do it. But this person is acting like he's giving some great moral advice that would have offset this stuff that's happening to kids. It's like, no, a parent is supposed to be like, hell no, you ain't doing that.
Yeah, excellent point.
It's like, my job is to give you the fundamentals.
Yes.
Right? Have you rooted in this? Give you some guidelines. Not just let you get out there and make your own decision. My job is to fortify you. I'm supposed to give you that spiritual nooch that gives you that builds you up with the integrity. That way, when you're old enough to pay for your own mistakes, you can go ahead and get out there and do that. When you can afford everything, not on my dime. All right. Well, I have a job. I'm out there making my own money. No, you're making your own money when after you pay rent and after you pay the bills and after you pay insurance and all that sort of stuff, or the mortgage or whichever. When you're able to pay that and then you got some money left over, then you have your own money. But just because you got a job and you living in my house where I'm paying for everything else, no. So my job is to make sure that you got what you need. Build that integrity in you for then when you go out and you can afford to do that stuff, you go ahead and you do it.
Yep.
Hopefully at that point you'd be like, you know what? Whatever ideas I had when I was a kid, that was dumb. I don't want to do that stuff anymore. Right? You know what I'm saying? So, but this guy is, I can't remember what the content creator was who did this, was reporting on David Mustaine. But just all that to say, you're gonna sit there and talk about like he's got this moral approach of how he's gonna, let his kid make his own decisions. Like, dude, you don't sound any different from these other people.
Exactly.
Like
your kid would have ended up in the hands of pedophiles because you're parenting like the kids' parents who ended up in pedophiles.
Yeah, like I'm your friend.
Yeah, that's the attitude this guy had.
I'm your friend, and as your friend, I support you, and you.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're like, no. Anyway, what else we got here? Let's talk about some Michelle Obama. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna play. Let's comment as we go through the video here. Let's bring the video up. Bam, and let's see what Michelle Obama has to say. She's talking about the reproductive system on women. Let's talk about it.
Go through, right?
Oh, let me back that up a little bit. Start from the top, Michelle.
Because so many men have no idea about what women go through, right? We haven't been researched, we haven't been considered, and it affects the way a lot of male lawmakers, a lot of male politicians, a lot of male religious leaders think about the issue of choice.
Let's stop right there. Okay, so Michelle says that a lot of men, I'm glad that she didn't generalize here, but ultimately she started to. Michelle, if men don't know what women go through and really how this stuff works, how is it that men are able to conduct the surgeries? You talk about what they don't understand and how they haven't researched. I'm pretty sure a lot of research has been done by these men that you're talking about, who are able to take a man, carve him up, flip his thing inside out, shove it up his behind, and turn it into like some sort of semblance of a vagina, and call that a woman. And you support stuff like this. Might even be one. Anyway, right? But this is, don't say it, you support this sort of stuff. So how are you going to sit there and contradict yourself and act like men haven't researched women when they're able to assume to convert the two? Turn a woman, know enough about a woman to turn her into a supposed man, or know enough about women to take a man and turn her into what you would recognize as a woman. You recognize men who consider themselves women, don't you? Yes, you do. And the thing is, Michelle, the men that you surround yourself, the men that you know, this is your perspective of men. And this is why you don't think men really know any better. But you're not around men like us. You don't know men like us. The men that you gauge and filter your perspective concerning men are the men that you surround with, and they're all perverts. The disdain that you have for men are because of the kind of men that you surround yourself with. They're all perverts. Yeah, they really don't understand womanhood. They really don't understand manhood. And more importantly, they don't understand God. And this is why they're all twisted up as far as this stuff goes. So for you to sit there and act like men haven't researched women, you're in total contradiction to yourself. Because you got men out there assuming to be women, which you accept. You accept men who claim to be women.
100.
You accept the occupation of men who carve men up and assume to call them women, and vice versa. You accept that. So your whole thing about researching and not understanding is in a way, yeah, you're right, but not according to your own narrative.
Yeah.
You're in contradiction to yourself. Let's see what else you got.
As if it's just about the fetus, the baby, but women's reproductive health.
Okay, so no, already expressing no value there. That's not what's important. Okay, well, and she's gonna. Well, hold on. You know, she's going to talk about this unspoken of superpower. You know, if you listen to her, watch.
Is about our life.
Don't let me forget this.
It's about this whole complicated reproductive system that does the least of what it does is produce life. It's a very important thing that it does. But you only produce life if the machine that's producing it, if you want to, whittle us down to a machine.
Okay, so women are Iron Man. All right, so, okay. You have this, what is this other thing, Michelle? What is this other thing? You act like this reproductive system has this superpower that is beyond our comprehension.
I'm curious.
What? Yeah, exactly. What is it?
Do I have this superpower?
Word? I might even want to. Wait, as far as men go, our reproductive system is our superpower. All right. So anyway, so Michelle, what? Michelle, what is now? You just downplayed the fetus. Okay, well, whatever that thing is. Okay, there's something much more. It's like Planned Parenthood saying that we do more than abortions. Well, the stuff that you make the most money at, and the thing that you actually really do is abortions. You may refer people for mammograms and things like that, and I guess you have some some birth control, or that's not the bulk of your money. Okay. And Michelle is going to sit here and act like, the reproductive system does something else than reproduce. Michelle, it's called the reproductive system. And, what else does it do, Michelle? I mean, really, the female reproductive system, what's it for? I figure you could have articulated that. You could have, given us another angle of what the reproductive system does, but you did not, because there isn't anything else, and that's okay. I mean, what? Okay, so a tied to the reproductive system, what? Urinate? That's
that's the kidneys and the bladder, though. Right?
Well, there is the urethra, and the urethra is kind of in the same vicinity as, the vaginal canal. And
it makes estrogen?
Okay.
But you guys make testosterone, so that's really not a superpower.
It kind of is. It helps, right? But the thing is, the estrogen is what is formulaic to the woman being the
True.
creature that she is, that, gestates children. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, Michelle, the reproductive system is for, facilitating growing a child. This you have the receptacle that receives the male agents of sperm, right? Connects with the egg, and in the woman's body, a child will start to grow.
I'm sorry she doesn't think that's a miracle. That is amazing to me that women can grow human beings. It's amazing.
You are the vessel that life comes through, Michelle. I mean, that's even me saying that is giving you the benefit of the doubt that you're female. Anyway, so
There's a lot of doubts in the chat.
yeah, the jury's out. But life, right? And see, y'all, Michelle is part of the demonic narrative that rejects what woman is. See, Eve was named by Adam, right? And Obama and Michelle Obama is in rebellion against that. And this was from an endorsement of the Lord Himself. Adam was made in the image of God, right? And despite Adam's transgression, still made in the image of God, but unfortunately he's mortal now. But he named his wife Eve, and what did he call her? The mother of the living, right? Michelle and the rest of these satanic pro-abortionists want women to be the mothers of the dead.
Yes.
Kill the child, make the womb the tomb.
Wow.
Right? Kill that child. Actually, I guess the womb don't even, they kick the kid out of the tomb too, but that's where the kid will die, right? Or in some cases, give birth to him and kill the kid after, right? This is what Michelle is about. She is about the rejection of what woman was, the distinction that woman was given. She's the distinction that the Bible, the Word of God gives her, the mother of the living. Wow. And Michelle is in rebellion against that. That's really sad, So she reduces, the fetus as just something, I don't know, but that doesn't have anything to do with the reproductive system, Michelle? That doesn't have anything to do with it? Or that's not an important facet, Wow.
If the machine is functioning in a healthy, streamlined kind of way, but there is no discussion or apparent connection between the two, because
girl, you're the one who's disconnected. You're the one who's trying to force the disconnect. Are you serious? Wow, what a sick case of projection. You, Michelle, are the one who is trying to force the disconnect. We are the ones who see the connections. They say, you have a reproductive system that facilitates the gestation of the child. That is something distinctive to the woman, right? And you, Michelle, you brush off the distinction that women have. You are a disgrace to womanhood, a disgrace. You have no honor concerning women. And you think that we're the ones who think less of women, who belittle women. And don't get me wrong, you got some chauvinists out there, but that ain't a godly thing. No. For those of us who follow Christ, the Lord has shown quite starkly the value He has for women, and that with our dominion, we're to protect and to provide. Yeah, there's a lot of things that women can do themselves. Can they do it as easily as a man is built to do things? No. Doesn't mean that they can't do them. You're just going to probably gonna have a harder time doing it. The same thing, with men. There's just for men, there's things that women are better suited to do. And it would really be a waste of energy for a man to try to do it. It wouldn't be efficient. It wouldn't have the same approach. Wouldn't have the same outcome. Maybe the same outcome, but just the fashion and how to do it, or the finesse, it's just better suited for women to do. The same thing as far as men go. It's just certain things are better that men are better suited to do. And Michelle is trying to interrupt the distinctions between the two, which makes both parties, it devalues both. That's the thing about it, man.
Yeah.
It devalues both. So, anyway, woe to those who listen to this witch.
Absolutely.
I pray she receives the Lord's peace and truth. Get it right, woman.
Right.
Let's see. Lastly, let's go out on this. Let's talk a little bit about Trump and the CBDC. Now that's been on the horizon for the thing to be rolled out for a little while now.
Yep.
And let me put it like this: there's some seem like some nefarious implications as far as the CBDC goes. Now, I think it should, if Trump is gonna roll this out, I think it should be set up, if I may. It's like, man, you might want to set this up like it's time for y'all to be reimbursed. Okay, these past few years, and Trump should repent also, because like, dude, you let this nut just come in and steal the White House from you.
Yeah.
You really didn't know your enemy, man. You really dropped the ball, Trump. I know I can't say that enough. You dropped the ball. You didn't know who your enemy was. You underestimated this people, and you let this feeble-minded nut, who's really an evil genius, really. But I mean, you might want to stop it with the whole dementia, thing, because that just means that this person with dementia was just able to come in and steal the White House from you, and the swamp that you were supposed to drain helped him do it. Okay, you were ineffective at stopping that from happening. You just need to admit that. Okay, and then it should be, but I want to make it up to the American people by you getting your money back, and it's like this isn't some federal bonus that you're gonna get or anything like that. This is not the country's or the government's money. It's not the government's money. It's your money, and we're gonna start giving it back to you. Mm-hmm. Now, it maybe preface it like that. We're gonna give this money back to you, okay? And it will grow. You're gonna get your interest. It's gonna grow annually. And I guess like issues that I have with it, you got to set this stuff up, because you can only withdraw from this account only if you're going to invest. What is it?
Invest in the stock market.
You can invest in the stock market, which is basically cronyism. You're going to take this money that's yours. At least that's how it should be. It should be. It should be a reimbursement. It's like, okay, we're giving you your money back, starting with this $1,000. And as it grows, you can only tap into it, because it's going to be given to newborn kids, right?
Yeah, born after 2025, every single newborn who is born in America will receive their own account. I'm assuming it's going to be at the Federal Reserve. The money comes from the Treasury, $1,000 for each newborn.
Yeah. So basically, this is Trump saying, man, whoever this generation right now, we're never going to pay that off.
Yeah.
Ain't going to get paid. We might as well just go ahead and start with this generation who will be born after this year, and then maybe you'll be able to get your money. Which you won't be able to get until you're 18. Okay. You're not going to be able to get this money until you're 18. In the meantime, you can use it to invest, which is basically you got this government that has got this a governor on what you can spend. You can only spend it towards it. That sounds like flipping cronyism to me.
Yeah. And
All
you
right?
can only you can only invest the money in the stock market.
Yeah, like I said, that sounds like cronyism. And when you get 18 and you want to go ahead and withdraw it, you got to pay capital gains on it.
Yep.
That's not how. That's a violation of your right to property. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing is just he's wrong. Now, if this was set up like, look, this is an emergency situation. Okay, in an emergency situation, we are trying to make it to where y'all are going to get your money back. We're not this future generation is not going to be saddled with debt. Instead, they're going to be able to get this money back. This is an emergency situation. It's not set up that way. And so, you know, with the CBDC, what it looks like to me, y'all, is that we're being set up to where our economy is going to be in a nice CBDC package to basically be handed over to globalism.
Yeah.
You know, just clean it all up. You know, since our dollar is not going to be, you know, an issue anymore, and it's lost its confidence or whatever, and we're gravitating more towards this, which looks like a more accessible and attractive and expedient model of currency. Hey, let's just do that, right? And then when it's all, like I said, when it's all nice and tight and neat and everything is just operating digitally, just hand it over to the global economy.
Yeah.
Right. Just let it become a globalist model of currency transfer. Why not? You know. So, what do you guys think? Are you guys comfortable with this? Are you guys comfortable with this being our steps into a CBDC?
I know you're not asking me. You're asking the chat, but
Right. Of course, I'm asking.
I am really uncomfortable with this. I don't think Trump understands how this is going to be implemented and that this is the groundwork laid for the Federal Reserve digital money, digital accounts.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess we kind of knew that this was going. I mean, pennies have become the first casualty
right.
in terms of like getting, you know, us going towards, you know, getting away from this tangible monies. Right?
Yeah.
Getting rid of the pennies. And then we done already pretty much gotten rid of the $2 bills. Do we still make $2 bills? I don't know.
Good question. I don't think so. That's why like people like us collect them, but
yeah, they still show up
I
every
don't
now
know.
and then. But you know, heck, man, you know, our card just got you know, some shenanigans. You know, we our card is, I think a lot of people, their card keeps getting hacked. And that might be one attractive feature of the CBDC because, you know, heck, you know, the government's not going to stand for, unless they're the ones doing it.
Right.
You know, they might actually, if people start hacking to the accounts, you know, of this money that they want to be able to collect them capital gains after, they might actually start going after it. How can these people don't get caught, man? Yeah, people, it's like,
I know.
You know, people be hacking into and getting into people's credit cards or getting into their bank accounts and stuff like that. How come these people can't be tracked, man? You know, I know if for anybody that this happened to, I know that you would just love to be able to get your hands around.
Yes.
If I can just get my hands on you, you know, because it's just that you got to redo your. You know, it's
redo everything, and this has been happening to us every month, every single month. But not just us, coworkers are going through the same thing, and they have less friendly banks than us, by the way. They're going through, there's fraud on their account, but the bank is like, no, it looks like you made the transaction. I'm like, well, thank you, Jesus. At least our bank is like, you can have your money back because you didn't make this transaction. And here's another card, yet another card.
You gotta wait for another card.
Yeah.
Man. And it's just like some punk just,
yes.
you know, just delighting in themselves with what they can get away with.
Exactly.
You know? Or just feel like they're entitled to it. Oh, you have a card. Well, it's mine. I want it.
Entitlement, yeah.
Yeah, and just wants to use it. You know, whether it's just that or just a cheap thrill of just getting away with other people and getting a kick out of the frustration it caused, or just not even caring at all. It's like, I don't care if you're frustrated. I'm gonna use your card. I'm gonna use your money.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, wow. But all that to say, y'all, with this CBDC, I mean, that's a haven for Hackerville, man.
Absolutely.
You know,
It is.
It's, you know, you put this where all our currency is just electronic. Dang, man, y'all gonna you don't have to spend a lot of money. That's gonna be expensive for the taxpayer. The government's gonna use that as an excuse. Well, we have to ramp up cybersecurity, and it's just we need more money for that. You know, and so dang, we just go digital currency, and hackers are just gonna have a field day. The world over. Yeah.
Yeah, they will. And other country hackers as well. Also, something that everybody points out when discussing the CBDC is, so this will be about, 2043 when these kids are 2044, when they're 18, and they'll be able to have access to their accounts. By then, I don't know what the world will look like and what America will look like, but it is said that the Federal Reserve and the globalists want this so that they can control our behavior. Like, we've driven too much or eaten too much red meat this month, so no, your credits are going to be cut off. You can't go to the grocery store. You can only buy Beyond Meat or fake meat.
Yeah. So that's when I was first started talking about this. I was going to say, this sounds like cronyism. Because the government's going to have a hand in steering, not just the consumer, but also steering the industries.
I didn't even think about the industries. That's a good point.
Yeah. So we pretty much we're there now.
Yes.
This is already, like I said, we're not socialist. We don't have to be. We've got so much cronyism, and people try to associate this with capitalism. It's like there's no crony capitalism going on. It's not even close. All right, capitalism it doesn't have anything. Like, as y'all know, we've had capitalism in like over 100 years. Yeah. People be talking about capitalism. It's like, dude, shut up. You don't even know what capitalism does. You haven't lived under a capitalist system. You've never known what that's like. How are you going to try to blame capitalism for all this sort of stuff? Socialism is what you're butt hurting over, but you don't even know it. Okay, but our government doesn't have to outright be. There's so much cronyism involved. There's so much control of the government over our industries and over our money. They might as well flat out own it. But if you got crony, they're both in bed with each other, man. It's an unholy union. They don't have to, and they're not gonna make it socialist, because if they did, they couldn't blame capitalism anymore. There's a system that we don't even have. But that's a part of how they do what it is that they do. You know? So now, 2043? And what? And it's starting off with $1,000?
Yep.
Man, considering the economy, dude, that's chump change.
But I mean, they will be investing in the stock market for 18 years, but who knows? Who knows how good their investing skills will be?
And for the record, y'all, I ain't trying to say that, I ain't trying to sneeze at $1,000. Don't get me wrong. Like somebody want to give me $1,000 right now, thank you. I appreciate it. What I'm saying is that, these people are being seduced. This is like a seduction. It's like people are gonna be like, yeah, give me that for that. I mean, $1,000 to some people is a lot of money, but I don't really think it's so much that way anymore. It's like, really, dude, $1,000? That evaporates so quick. All right, $1,000 be gone like that in this economy.
Yeah.
So, and by the time 24, it's like what was that episode of? It was like an episode of Twilight Zone, and these bank robbers, they wanted to, they were going to send themselves, or they were going to wait. They robbed the bank. They got a whole bunch of gold or whichever, something like that. You guys probably know the episode, and they were going to wait until the future, and in the future, I guess, they were expecting the gold to be like worth a whole bunch of money or something like that.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect. And when they got to the future, I think it was year 2000, and they came out with their gold, the gold wasn't worth anything. I think some alchemist or something like that was able to like reproduce gold or whichever. It's like
how
gold,
horrifying.
it's not even worth anything, right? And the guy was just trading his gold for a sip of water.
Wow.
Right, so he's like going with this guy and who had a gun on him or whichever, and he's just like, just give me a sip of water. It's like, okay, I want, give me some of that gold. Until he had like none left, he had like one like little nugget left, and somebody found him out there.
Goodness.
It's like, man, it's like what's he doing walking around with this gold, man? We've been able to make gold. This stuff ain't worth anything anymore. So in the future, like 2043 is, whatever that might accumulate to, whatever, interest or whatever, or how much it's able to grow while it's in there, who knows if it'll even keep up, with what's going on.
Yeah. So Jay says the $2 bill was last issued in 2019.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess save those. You see them.
Yeah, right?
I hadn't really thought about it. Like I said, every once in a while, you see a $2 bill, in circulation, and thought those things went out a long time ago.
I know, I thought so too.
And again, 2019 is kind of a long time ago.
Goodness, yeah. It's kind of weird. Cranky says, should one prep food? Because of how crazy things, it is said things are supposed to get. I always think, yeah, you should at least keep some of those emergency stash, or buy beans and rice. Put it in the freezer when you get home to kill off the icky bugs that could be in there, and put it in your pantry. At least you could do that. It's like $10. That's what we do.
I don't know. Prepping for, and forgive me, y'all, because I'm not trying to be condescending or dismissive or anything like that. Please don't take my response that way. That there's a lot of sensationalism out there. You're going to have people who are going to, take advantage. Now,
Yes,
I
the
don't
televangelists do that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to say take advantage of people. Before I say that, take advantage of the situation. You will have people who will come up with a product that is going to be able to withstand, time and and conditions and things like that, for you to have food for you in case of an emergency, an economic meltdown or whichever. And I don't know. I think it's a good product to have for people to have these meals that are that you can have in case of emergency.
Yeah, especially if you're in a city.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's considering where you may be coming from with it.
Yeah.
I think it's smart, to have food in case of emergencies.
Yeah.
Have you, a supply of water, a supply of, of food, things like that. I think that's a good idea. I think people who may be caught up with some of the fear mongering that comes with the narrative. I don't know if that's because if that's the case, how much food should you get?
Yeah.
Is it like, how are we getting enough food for this apocalypse? I guess that's always looming over us. That's going to happen with our government and society and whatnot. How much food do you get? What is a reasonable amount of food? What's ridiculously too much or what's ridiculously too little? It's like, are you serious? You think you're going to survive with that little amount of food? You're going to need more than that. Who knows how much? What do you need for more? For how long? You know what I'm saying? So, what is a reasonable amount of food to prep? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I will not say that it's a bad idea. It's like, yeah, put away something, and for how much is comfortable for you, how little or how much, that you would feel that you've done your due diligence. Just say, okay, I've got some food set aside. That's good for the next, what's the shelf life on some of those things? They're like what?
A couple years for rice and beans, a couple years for canned fish or canned chicken.
Yeah, and when they start getting close to their expiration date, you can donate them.
Yeah, donate them to your local shelter. And Robbie says, I've rotated my emergency foods into lunches at work. That's another great idea.
Yeah, there you go. You know, so it's the emergency stash has come in when you're in a pinch and you don't want to go to the grocery store. Hey, you just tap into that emergency stash. You're getting ready to expire soon anyway. So
yeah.
You know, so those are your options. You know, either for yourself or you know, give it to the shelters. You know, you can go that route. But some of those meals that they package away, they're supposed to have a long shelf life.
Oh yeah, your mom got us a couple of those for Christmas. They last her 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's supposed
those
to be
buckets
like,
of food.
even if they're not stored very good, like if it's hot or if it's
right.
You know,
Jay mentioned a big conservative takes the money from running those prepper meals. Yeah, exactly.
right.
But Jay, when we were in the city, you know, it was great to have them.
Right. Gotta have that. You gotta have that toilet paper. Right. And get that emergency TP. But all that to say, I hope that is a reasonable response. You know, yeah, it's not a bad idea at all to have you, but. For it, who's to say what's enough, not enough, you know, whichever, and where you're coming from with it, you know?
Right, everybody's got their own circumstances.
Yeah.
Cranky said she's wondering about getting a greenhouse. I think Jay's right. If you can get a hold of filters to filter your own water, very, very important.
Yeah.
That could be bartering material too. Filters to filter your own water, which we have, because again, your mom got us these water filters. Seychelles, I think, is the company. Have your own filters. You get some activated charcoal that will filter your water too. Have bleach, like an extra bucket of bleach on hand. Just because you never know what could happen. I'm not just talking about like globalists crashing the economy. There could be natural disasters that could happen too. Russia could get angry with us.
Right.
And being able to grow your own food. That's a goal of mine. I want to be able to like grow at least some of our own food.
Yeah. Buy local.
Yep. And buy from local Christian regenerative farmers.
And buy from we may not be local to you, but you can buy stuff from us.
The disco balls.
That's right. Hopefully I'll be able to get those on the market. But we got
Yeah.
shirts and mugs and all that sort of stuff that if you guys want to grab those. I certainly appreciate it.
And Jay says honey and dates last for 2,500 years. I've heard that actually, that they'll dig them up in some site in Egypt or Israel and it's still good.
Yeah, the dates, they call it the bread of the desert.
Yeah.
And hey, I love dates and I like making things with dates and the implications of dates, you know, it's man. I hope to the Lord that I'll be able to help, you know, make a contribution to the market with these date recipes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. God willing. Jay says, Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan said that Americans should stockpile bullets. That's kind of scary because that man knows what's going on globally with global economies and the American economy. How I remember prepping is beans, bullets, and Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Those are the three things that are most important. Your health needs, like Band-Aids and, you know, hydrogen peroxide, alcohol wipes, beans, food, and bullets, obvious protection.
Water.
Beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. And water.
Yeah, and when we say beans, you know we talk about coffee bean. You better have my coffee. All right, y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in and you know, helping us you know, discuss some of this stuff, you know, with your input and whatnot. As I don't know, got to figure out what to do with these things that are going on in the world. And thank you for helping us filter it out and get it out in the open and try to make sense of it. All right, y'all, bronzeserpentmedia.com. If you haven't become a member, hope you guys will come there, help populate the powwows, and drop that buck in the bucket if you want to. Hey, what, Michelle? You know, I didn't even see the page. Michelle, go away, Michelle. My show. You know, my show in there. All right. So, anyway, bronzeserpentmedia.com. Drop that buck in the bucket. Going to keep the bros on the go. I certainly appreciate it. Yes, we still need, we need donations. Thank you guys who are donating. We're not trying to ask anybody to dig any deeper. You know, we're very grateful for those of y'all who contribute. But we hope that we get some shares that other people may hear about, you know, us at Bronze Serpent Media, and they find our content worth contributing to as well. Right on, y'all. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.
Bye.